Okay, this is a slightly more in-depth video on how to write a thesis. My last video, I wanted just to give an overview and then let people who wanted to work independently really dig into the handout on their own. Now, if you're like, oh, I still need some help, hopefully this will help. All right, so after I originally taught this lesson, I added some more to this. So this is the overview. Then you have the types. You have my example. I added some student examples. And then I added some more information on concessions because that's where I anticipated some of us might have a little bit of an issue. All right, so I already kind of went over my philosophy behind thesis statements, that they're like a grappling hook and a strong one to let you swing throughout your essay with ease. So here are the types. Now, if you scroll through this quickly, you will see that the first type is only one arrow strong, the second is 2, the third is 3, and the last is 4. That is because I want you to write this type of thesis. Also, it's the strongest. But to get to this type of thesis, it's helpful to go through these steps. So, the first thing you do when you write a thesis statement, start with a simple thesis statement. Before I get into this, let me show you one thing. If you scroll down this document, you'll then see my example thesis going through these steps. And then there's a place for you to type in and do it as well. All right, so start with a simple thesis statement. This is just your answer to the prompt without concessions or reasons. So what is the prompt? Is Odysseus a hero? So you would answer that without any concessions or reasons. Is Odysseus a hero? Just start by giving your honest answer. So in my example, is Odysseus a hero? Odysseus's determination makes him a hero. Okay, so I said he is, and I gave a little bit of a reason why. You could just say Odysseus is a hero. Odysseus is not a hero. That's simple. Once you have your simple thesis, you want to add a concession. Now, a concession is the acknowledgement of the opposing viewpoint. So when you add a concession, you are addressing what other people might think. You're addressing what other people might say. You are bringing up any objections people might have. The reason that you do this is because let's say that you're scrolling through the news and you see articles about how climate change isn't real. Well, you think climate change is real, so you're not going to answer. You're not going to click on those, okay? But what if you see something that's like, even though climate change is a problem, it's not really da-da-da. Okay, when someone makes a concession, you're like more hooked in. You're like, oh, wait, let me see what they're saying. Even though, let's say that article was going to tell you that climate change is a hoax, you got hooked in because you were like, okay, wait, this person kind of agrees with me. I think, humans are generally pretty stubborn, and we don't want to read something or look at something that is directly in opposition to what we believe already. So you put the concession in because that makes people more willing to hear what you have to say. It also makes you seem like you've thought about this more hard, that doesn't make sense. So you've thought about this, that you've considered all the sides. It makes you seem smarter. So do it. All right, so concession addresses the other side. Let's go back down to my example. So even though people may think heroes are defined by the lives they save and the feats they accomplish. So mine, I went I kind of did something a little bit more sophisticated than what I'm actually asking you to do in the directions. What I did here is that I anticipated, okay, well, people might say Odysseus is not a hero because he didn't save any lives, okay? But I didn't say it that way. I said, even though some people might think heroes are defined by the lives they save and the feats they accomplish, Odysseus's determination makes him a hero. So I was trying to pinpoint what might people say, like what are people's big objections to Odysseus? That a bunch of his people die. Okay, how can I counter that? So that's what I was doing with my concession. If you want more examples on how to write a concession, if you want more help, click on that link. And here's some more information. So when you're writing a thesis with concession, you want to state the opposite view first, okay? You also can think of this, it's not like you're trying to be balanced and show both sides. That's not the point, because you still want your argument to win out, but you want to acknowledge the opposing view. You want to acknowledge it without admitting it's correct. So like, yeah, this is an opinion people have. Some people think this, but, and then you're going to have your opinion. This makes people think you have considered all sides. They trust you more. You want to give the concession before presenting your view, because people remember the last thing they heard. So let's look at my example. If I had said, Odysseus' determination makes him a hero, even though people may think that heroes are defined by the lives they save and the feats they accomplish. You might be like, wait, what is she saying? Is she saying that heroes need to save lives and determine feats? So Odysseus isn't a hero? It's more confusing. So you want to state the concession first and then end with your point. All right, some words you may want to use to help you structure your concession. These are good phrases that you can use. I also have a link to a website that has more. And then I took my example and I just kind of changed my phrase that I used to introduce my concession so that you could see, like, this is all the exact same thesis. I just changed the phrase so you can kind of see the difference in the phrases and which one you want to use. That might be too much, but I did it, so there it is. All right, so now we have a concession, and if you want to pause here and work on your concession and then come back to reasons, that is absolutely okay. But the second thing you should do after you have your simple thesis, create a concession. So then it's just concession plus your simple thesis. So you add the concession, you take whatever you wrote here, you put it right here, and now we're going to go on to reasons. Reasons, pretty self-explanatory. What are your reasons for your point of view? Okay, so for now, ignore the concession because you don't want to cloudy up your brain. Go back to your simple reason and ask yourself, what are your reasons? So a thesis with reasons uses a word like because to reveal the reasons behind the writer's opinion or main idea. Now, this is stronger than a simple thesis or a thesis with just a concession because you're transitioning from an opinion to an argument. A simple thesis is really just an opinion. A thesis with reasons is now an argument. And we'll talk more about arguments next class, but now you have an argument. People are hooked by the reasons and they want to read on to learn more. This also makes people more interested in what you have to say. Because let's say that I'm just like, Odysseus is a hero, and you don't think he's a hero. You're like, all right, next. But if I give you some compelling reasons, that's another chance for me to maybe grab your attention. So give some reasons. You probably want to have 2 to 3 reasons. Keep them brief. You don't want to go into super specific detail because that's what the essay is for. So for my example, I say, he never gives up on himself, perseveres in the face of insurmountable odds, and inspires readers to achieve their goals. So I have 3 reasons. Notice how none of them state direct evidence from the story. Now they could, but it would need to be really brief because we're trying to keep our thesis to 1 sentence. All the elaboration and analysis, that goes in body paragraphs. So keep it brief here. All right, so now that I have a simple thesis, a concession, and reasons, I'm going to put it all together. And you want it to go in the order of concession first because people remember the last thing they hear. So you want to get the concession out of the way, but end with your reasons. So concession, your opinion, your simple thesis, and then your reasons. Now, once you put it all together, read over it, make sure it makes sense. The reason this is the strongest type of thesis, at least for this type of argument, is that you draw people in by presenting both sides, but then you hook them with your reasons. So it's like, hey, come read my paper. I'm reasonable. I've thought about this. Whoosh, here are all the reasons I'm right. Right? And so then you have the opponent in a headlock and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. But this will give you a strong thesis. So here's my example. You can make a copy and type yours here. And then for your multimodal step, you could just make sure that I can view this and paste your thesis. Let me show you where this would go on your notebook before I leave. this before I turn this video off. All right, so for step 3, write a thesis, our task, our multimodal options. So you could write a thesis statement that goes on a journey. I have that right here. I also have it on this slide. You could type it in here, or you could just copy and paste this table, whichever one. You could also just make a copy of the handout and then on this slide put a link. Okay, so I could just take this right here. This is my link. Make sure that it's shared. So let me show you how to do that in case you need that. Share. Mine is shared with a ton of people, but you want to make sure that yours, so mine is like anyone at Drew can see the link, can view it. That's fine because I'm at Drew, right? So you can just do it that way. Then copy your link, go to insert. No, you can just paste it. Draw. If you're like, oh, I want it to look like a link, you can just, I think if you just hit the space bar after, that typically works. Come on. See, boom, link. Okay, so you can just put there, then I can see that you went through these steps. I'm gonna erase this so that I'm not destroying anything. And then the last thing you wanna do is copy that first draft thesis here. Okay, that way you have it for your own safekeeping. And then, I know I just said last thing, but there's always something else to do. Then once you have your thesis with a concession and reasons, you're gonna go to your class, whatever class that may be. I'll show you 1A because I've already done it. Go to what's your thesis? Open it, view question, and you're gonna type in your thesis statement or just copy and paste. And then I will come in and I will give you feedback, and your classmates will give you feedback, with the goal being that by the time you've done this draft, you've gotten feedback from me and your classmates. When we have our next class on Thursday or Friday, you will have an amazing thesis. How does that sound? I just realized that I did that whole part like I was sharing my screen and you can't see my screen. So pause for a second. Oh, technology. Okay, hold on. This is what I was talking about. I don't want to redo this because it's already gone on too long. Oh my God. Okay, so you go here. I'm just laughing at myself in my brain. All right, Unit 2, Week 13. Click here. View question. Type your thesis in, and I'll give you feedback. That's what I was trying to show you. All right. Love you guys. Bye.